Okay, this is an introduction to childcare as a small business. It's brought to you in the framework of the library being a good place to do research about whatever small business idea you might have. And I'm anchoring my conversation today in childcare, but I want you all who are attending this to realize that the library can help you research any kind of small business, whether it's childcare or some other kind of small business. My name is Jill Adams, and my phone number is on this slide. In case it's too small for you, I'll tell you it's 503-350-3613. And my email is jadams@beavertonoregon.gov. I have a lot of experience helping small business people do research that will help them succeed in marketing research. I work Sundays through Thursdays. And when I was doing this research about childcare, I want to reflect here that I am not a mom, and I only learned how hard it is for mothers to seek childcare by doing this presentation. And also childcare providers, if you are in attendance and you want to chime in at the end to make, to correct me, feel free to, to participate in the chat, or later on raise your hand and you can share. What we will discuss today will be library updates and overview of childcare business, about the various kinds of childcare, and how to see if it's feasible for you to go into it. Then we'll go into depth about the resources who will support you. When I am talking about childcare providers, I'm talking about potentially you, who might be wanting to run childcare from your home or start a larger center outside the home. The purpose of this presentation isn't to explain how to get childcare for your child or assistance with money. The purpose of this, again, is to be thinking about is this a strategy, a business strategy that will work for you to be a provider. Also, maybe you work for this ecosystem, like maybe you make administrative software, or maybe you cater to children's needs at childcare providers like food. Maybe you even can do remodeling and could remodel a house to be compliant for childcare. Or maybe you cater to government needs about childcare administration. So there could be demand of your skills, even if you don't picture yourself as a childcare provider. So when I refer to something called the CCRNR, that stands for Child Care Resource and Referral, and that's Washington County. The CCRNR is the best website to start with. If you learn best by in-person help, the Beaverton Resource Center has a drop-in hour with people from the CCRNR who can explain things about childcare. They are bilingual, and they're located at the Beaverton Resource Center, which is at 13565 Southwest Walker Road, and their phone number is 503-207-5670. So the library updates, we're open daily now, Monday through Friday. Excuse me. Monday through Friday till 7 and till 6 on Thursdays through Sundays. We offer free printing. And just a reminder, our Safe Child policy requires an adult accompany all children under 10. So if you have children under the age of 10, you can't really just drop them off at the library. But if you have someone with them who's a babysitter who's at least 10, you can drop them off. The library workers do not supervise the kids. There's links in chat that whenever I refer to something, you can see the links in the chat. All right. In 2021, many child care operations closed a lot during the pandemic, resulting in a higher demand and higher prices and more difficult situations for parents. In Washington County, Oregon, We have a good resource in the CCR&R with the county government. This is a business which focuses on kids under the age of 5. Providers of what's known as preschool programs have to be certified in their childcare service to prepare 3 and 4-year-old children for kindergarten. Most parents, the customers, want full-time childcare, not just a few days of the week. So if you're interested in doing childcare part-time, maybe think about banding together with other childcare providers or work somewhere at a childcare center for a few days a week. According to state reports, all 36 counties were childcare deserts for the 0 to 2 age group, infants, while 25 counties were deserts for kids aged 3 to 5. Oregon is the 4th least affordable state in the county for childcare and preschool, and many families struggle to pay the high cost. According to the Oregon Child Care Research Partnership at OSU, there was a crisis when it comes to these infant and toddler slots. But there is good news. At a federal level, the American Rescue Plan will be allocating billions to childcare. $15 billion will expand childcare assistance through development block grants to support childcare for essential workers, providers, and families. $24 billion will create a stabilization fund for providers, and $1 billion will go into Head Start programs, like Oregon's Preschool Promise program. According to Family Forward Oregon, which fights for justice for mothers and caregivers, upcoming investments will make Oregon's various systems easier to navigate for parents and providers, and hopefully help childcare centers reopen with more availability. In the next 10 years, President Biden, proposes to spend $225 billion on childcare programs. Multnomah County recently voted in universal pre-K. That means they will tax themselves to provide universal pre-kindergarten for 3 and 4-year-olds. This is a growing trend. It's growing slowly, but it could happen in more counties in the United States. This trend will shift little children into public school and community-based preschools. So the supply of 3 and 4-year-old kids whose parents might have sent them to a small home childcare, they'll probably rather enroll them into these school-based or big box full day daycare chains, which can most quickly comply and scale up to take advantage of these funds. For example, in Multnomah in September of 2021 or September of 2022, what do you think, okay, in September of 2022, in the future, this is just a question for you. What do you think is going to happen to the supply of the 4-year-olds whose parents who pay for childcare services if they're offered preschool at those large schools? It will be interesting to follow the trend as some small home-based childcare operations will learn how to take advantage of whatever federal programs that they can to offer the same level of service, or not even the same level of service, but like differentiated services. Because some home-based childcare pre-K programs might set themselves apart from the big schools by soliciting their prospects individually to parents who can afford smaller settings. Also, if daytime pre-K is taken care of one day by these schools and centers, then home-based providers might look at doing more evenings, or they could tout the benefits of a cozier setting being more safe or less emotionally straining than the larger places. And also focusing on the younger children and the infants would be a good strategy. Because unless a kid is older than 2, it will be very hard for parents to find care for them because those operations have harder rules to follow. Oregon has pretty much a normal number of pre-kindergarten aged kids, but the percentage of these kids whose parents have done the paperwork and enrolled them in the state preschool or preschool special ed or Head Start, it's only 30% of the kids who are even eligible. Only 30% of them are even taking advantage of the programs. It may be hard for them to find child care providers even close to them. Like maybe they're too far away, miles away. Or maybe it might be hard to fill out the paperwork, or there could be some kind of administrative entrepreneur who assists people in getting a piece of this pie. In Oregon, besides money from parents, there's this thing called the Child Care and Development Fund. That's the major source of funding for childcare, including paying for employment-related childcare and development block grants. The Oregon Senate passed a bill this past July to add 4,000 more publicly funded preschool program slots. There's this preschool promise and baby promise. And preschool children are younger than age 5. Because during the pandemic, Oregon lost about 800 providers. And where they lost the most of them was the coast and the coast counties, and also like Washington County suffered pretty bad too. So the Oregon Department of Education is now spending $44 million in federal COVID aid for childcare and early learning programs. According to the Oregonian, there's a concern that there won't even be enough preschool providers to meet these needs. So I think it is safe to assume that the CCRNRs will be trying extra hard to train and help potential childcare providers, like potentially you. I think that will be the case. Will that spur entrepreneurial efforts, and will we see more entrepreneurs entering this field? If you've been thinking about going into childcare, what kind of income would you be looking at? It's hard to say, but here are some facts I looked up. It takes to pay for childcare for a 2-year-old in Portland about $1,200 a month. This is according to a recent Oregonian article, May of 28th, 2021. Another website, there's this website called NIEER.org. It compares all the states, and it says that in Oregon, it costs at least $14,000 a year to send for each pre-kindergarten kid. So you can use those numbers and make some models and think about that if it's a viable source of income. All right, so there's two kinds, well, there's a lot of things to know about, but basically I'm trying to make it very simple. There's license exempt, where there's no license required, but you still have to self-report. You have a background check, you have some training you have to take, and and you can provide less than a full day of daycare. You're not a full-time daycare provider. And then there's licensed, where it's the longer, more desirable full-day daycare. You have more inspections, you have higher standards, and you can be in business serving a lot more kids at a time, not just, between 1 and 3 or kids, but more than that. There's licensed and unlicensed childcare, full day and less than full day. Alisa Chatterjee is the name, Alisa Chatterjee. She's the director of the Early Learning Division for the state of Oregon. And she says that higher staffing levels are needed for infants and toddlers, and there's a greater need for toddlers right now. There's a growing investment in the 0 to 3 age group. The number of workers you have to watch toddlers is higher. You have to have more numbers of workers to watch toddlers. So it's hard to get that licensed and certified, but I think the CCRNR is motivated, and I think there will be a lot of help. Now, a complete description of all the how-tos, what's required, and it's really not the scope of this presentation, but I'll provide you phone numbers. And if you learn better by speaking with someone in person, In Beaverton, if you learn better by speaking in person with someone who's bilingual, of course, again, I'll say it again, visit the Beaverton Resource Center, 13565 Southwest Walker. All right, so licensing requirements for becoming a child care operator are on the state of Oregon's early learning website. They have a bilingual phone line too. It's 1-800-556-6616. And Community Action, Washington County CCRNR, They also provide assistance to help you fill out the forms to get qualified as a childcare operator. The CCRNR, they will help you set up your home, help train you, and they are bilingual. And here is their phone number. It's 971-223-6100. I'll just click over on to this link here and share this screen with you. I changed my share screen. This is the Early Learning Division's website. Can you see that, everyone? Yes. All right, so here on their website, down here on the bottom is forms and resources. And this is what it shows, forms and resources. And when you open this pluses, you can see they have the rules spelled out in multiple languages, rules for the different levels of childcare operators. All right. That's why I think I won't have to explain all of that because you can just go to those sites. Okay, now I'm sharing back to the presentation. Okay. Things to consider about childcare are, oh, you know, I should say something right now about the library. Let's say that you're filling out forms and you find that you're supposed to upload some files and you don't have a scanner and you don't have broadband internet or you don't have the right software. Then you can always come to the Beaverton library to do these things because we have scanners and really great broadband. We have really great computers and printers. The printing is free right now. I mean, if you do nothing but just make a printout of one of these booklets, then that's probably a smart thing to do. And if you want to help going over with any of the early learning and community action with a bilingual person, again, that number is 1-800-556-6616. Okay, let's see here. So I'm on slide 9. All right, the things to think about childcare. Are your clients eligible for childcare subsidies? How many children will be enrolled? How many hours per day? Because once you know these things, you'll know what sort of level of childcare provider to be. Because the primary activities of this industry, depending on what your capacities are, allows you to do the different levels. Can you provide child and infant daycare? Can you provide preschool programs? Age appropriate learning programs and classwork that can get you the higher paid type of clients. Beaverton School District, by the way, has had full day kindergarten for about 5 years now. So that impacted childcare operators who served 5-year-olds. They sometimes had to close because they lost their kids. They lost their 5-year-olds who became enrolled in school instead. Another thing to think about is, let's say that you produce books or games or musical instruments or supplies. Other industries who are involved in things like this could band together with existing childcare providers and, you might have more, there might be more in demand if there are additional childcare providers coming online this year. Now I'm going to show you a map I made using a database that the library provides called Demographics Now. Actually, my colleague Susan created it, but it's this database called Demographics Now, and she chose to show all the areas where the most children live in Washington County. And Demographics Now is a really amazing database. If you ever wanted to show like market trends, you can come to the library and we would show you how to use Demographics Now. So look at the dark aqua areas. Those are where the most 0 to 4-year-olds live. And further in, places where the workers go in the daytime, like in the city and around Nike, you think about the location of childcare. It could be between the places where people work in the daytime and the places where the 4-year-olds, live. Little kids could be dropped off for childcare between where working people live and where they work. So it's not necessary that you have to be located out here in, way out here in the suburbs to be the best location. Sometimes the best location is going to be closer to where people work because they can drop off kids. For customers to know that you exist, there's all kinds of ways to do it, from everywhere from making flyers to just networking. For customers to know that you exist, this is called awareness. Awareness is all about being seen, either in community websites like nextdoor.com, Facebook neighborhood sites, and if you register properly with the Early Learning Division, you're going to be all over on the Early Learning Division's website because they have a search feature. And 211 Info will be able to see that too. And 211 Info will steer the subsidized families to the childcare providers. And that's this line called 211 Info, where you can call it to find out what benefits you can get. So you could build awareness for customers on their way to work to know that you exist. And I should stop and say something great about the Chamber. Chamber has a lot of, they used to, they may be doing some things now virtually that are networking oriented, that teach you how to network. And so networking at events where parents might be with your information ready to give out, that's a really smart tactic. It's not hard, really not hard, to find parents who need childcare. But if you're interested in expanding, see if you can be put in touch with human resource departments at big employers. Think about it. Human resources departments, they want their workers to have childcare. So they would be a good go-between for you. I'm just going to list off 20 of the Beaverton's largest employers who have the most workers, where the most parents work. Nike, Tech, Form Factor, Columbia Sportswear, Vanguard EMS, Reesers, Digimark, Graphic Products Incorporated, Bimbo Bakeries, Beaverton School District, Comcast, the City of Beaverton, that's where I work, Fred Meyer, Pacific Office Automation, Home Depot, New Seasons, Costco, Nation Star Mortgage, DAT Solutions, and Lamphere. Think about that. Could they want to bring awareness of your daycare to their workers? Daytime population swells around these large employers. There's more children possible to be dropped off around those employers with all those workers. There's more people walking around and shopping by these employers in the daytime than in the suburbs way out where the children might live. So it's almost just as important to be located on a line between these employers and the suburb where the families live. To be eligible for payment from the Department of Human Services, a child care provider has to be listed with the DHS. And the DHS website has safety guidelines and training requirements, and they're all bilingual. All right, yeah, and the Early Learning Division, one more time, at the state, they have it's early learning, Oregon.com, what is it? Early Learning, Oregon, let me say it again, OregonEarlyLearning.com. I know that looks funny because you're used to see, .gov, but it's actually .com. That's the legitimate website. That one is one of the best 2 websites for becoming a child care provider. They even have a YouTube channel with films in case you want to watch it. Community Action of Washington County provides you through the process from a local point of view. Most of these websites are bilingual, like I said. The Child Care Resource and Referral Program has step-by-step process. Just Google Washington County CCRNR, CAO WASH is their website, Programs Early Learning Division. Here, I'll put this in the chat. All right, yeah, now we get to talk about what the library's doing. So I'm so excited to tell you about what the library's doing. Here's a picture of the library inside on Hall and Fifth, where we have a great children's department on the first floor. They have for parents, teachers, and early childhood educators and camp counselors, anyone who works with kids or wants to know how they grow or develop or learn. We have these practical books on everything from potty training, craft activities. There's workbook samples, as well as more academic brain development topics. We provide books on activities, science experiments, things that would help with growing up and developing. And we call it emotional regulation, like not becoming discipline problems, but like helping kids with social and emotional regulation. Tips for making snacks and food for children, and also to show caring and respect for many cultures, books on all kinds of activities in many cultures, a lot of nature activities, math and science games. And nearby, in the Juvenile World Languages collection, there's a set of parenting books in Spanish too. Another cool thing the library offers is called Library on Wheels. You can fill out this form. If I click this, I'm thinking it's sharing this. Let me make sure that it's sharing. Yes, it is. It is sharing Library on Wheels website. Okay. On the Library on Wheels website, as you can see, you click here on Library on Wheels application, and when you do that, it's going to serve the area inside this blue area. Like if your childcare operation is within this area, then the library will literally send a story time event out to you. It's a wonderful bilingual story time event. And there's currently a waiting list, but I would very recommend get on it, because we have a volunteer, a worker, a full-time employee named Elizabeth Sauer Villasenor, and she's our wonderful Library on Wheels outreach specialist. Also, the library has a partnership with Community Action, and we are going to have a social worker who's going to start to work from the library in the next few weeks for added convenience to access help. And that'll be up on the second floor of the library where the social worker will be located. And the library is still working out the schedule of when she's supposed to be at the library, but stay tuned. Also, the library will offer childcare trainings. We already offer them now. I'm going to share this screen. Hopefully I think that's sharing. Free childcare trainings. As you can see right here on our website, I'm going to paste that into the chat. The next one's going to be Tuesday, October the 19th. And the registration for this free childcare training will open up on September the 19th. And the location of the library is at 12375 Southwest 5th. And it's going to be in meeting room A. So that will be cool. You should look to register for that starting on September 9th from the library website that I put in the chat. Yeah, so let's go back to the presentation. All right, here we are. Now, just kind of wrap it up, there's a lot of really engaged conversation right now about the improvements for childcare operators. There's a lot of news that is posted in 3 specific places I really like focusing on for that news. One is called the First 5 Years Fund website. And the next one is called Oregon Child Care Research Partnership. And this one's called Family Forward Oregon. There's a good chart on the first 5 years fund showing increased allocations for childcare programs if things are going to go as planned during the Biden administration. Anyway, I'm pretty excited about the fact that it's going to be more helpful for parents. Is there any questions? And if it's not about childcare and you want to ask me about anything like research oriented, have at it. I'm ready to help you if you have any questions.
Y buenos días, yo soy Norma Torres. Disculpe que no estoy saliendo en la cámara. Tengo una pregunta. Si yo estoy interesada en hacer un negocio de daycare, la pregunta es, si yo estoy recibiendo información o los cursos o las clases en Portland, si las puedo, o si son válidas para hacer un negocio en Beaverton, o debe de ser directamente con Beaverton?
No, it would be valid. It's a state program. I mean, the early learning division is a state program. So if you've nothing has to be approved by the city of Beaverton. They're approved by Oregon Early Learning. Is that answering?
Sí, correcto, porque yo ahorita, de hecho, estoy en el contacto en Portland y con ellos he estado recibiendo las clases. Entonces, estoy tratando de completar, ¿verdad? Todo lo que se requiere, pero el punto es de que yo estoy buscando una buena ubicación donde sea realmente un servicio eficiente, donde haya mayor necesidad de este tipo de trabajo. Entonces, ahorita mi punto primero es enfocarme, estos mapas que están presentando realmente son muy buenos porque sí ayudan para tener una idea más clara de dónde poder trabajar, dónde enfocarse. Entonces, ahorita mi punto principal es buscar la locación. Y por eso preguntaba, porque estoy buscando en Portland y quería moverme para Beaverton también.
Mm-hmm. What I would suggest would be to find large employers. And I got this list of large employers. It's much longer than just, it had more than 20, but I got it off of the Beaverton annual report. So the city of Beaverton does an annual report every year. I'm sure the city of Portland has, and I have lists of like where the major employers are. There's this thing called the Book of Lists, and the Book of Lists is another way to find the largest employers. And so I could make a list of the largest employers in Portland, and where you have, let's say that you have a building with 400 people working in it, there's going to be so many parents dropping their kids off on the way. That's my theory. I don't know. Does anybody else have another idea of what would be a good strategy for location? Because those are the people with money. I mean, those are the people who are motivated because they have to go to work, and they got pay. They get paid.
Sí, entiendo. Creo que uno de los problemas que estamos ahorita, bueno, en lo que yo me estoy enfrentando, es que estoy buscando una casa donde poder poner este negocio, este lugar, este trabajo, pero me he encontrado con que he pedido, ¿verdad? A personas que rentan casas y les explico para qué lo quiero, para qué quiero rentar ese lugar, y me dicen que no están interesadas. Entonces es un punto un poquito difícil para poder conseguir un lugar y que realmente lo puedan aceptar. No sé si tienen algo de información de esto.
Is it because of how you want to have a commercial instead of a residential relationship with this real estate? Like, is that their problem, is that they'd rather that you have a residential, you know, rather than a commercial, and you're trying to rent residential, and they're expecting someone that lives there? I don't know.
Sí, sí, correcto. O sea, cuando yo les comento para qué quiero rentar ese lugar, esa casa, ellos dicen que prefieren a una persona que viva ahí, normal, como una familia, a dejarla que sea como para un negocio. Entonces, yo, bueno, estoy en ese plan ahorita, ¿verdad? De encontrar un lugar, porque me imagino que sí debe de haber. A lo mejor no es muy fácil, pero sí se puede conseguir.
Have you ever networked with an existing home-based daycare provider to talk to someone who's, you know, in that field? Because my question is I don't know that much about this kind of thing, as I'm really, you know, a reference librarian and not really a real estate person, but everything I know about learning is to find out where the voice of this industry is. And as far as I know, it's the early learning division and the CCRNR. And I don't know if you've had conversation even with the CCRNR bilingual folks there to find out, like, why can't you just rent it and say, like, here's me from a completely outsider point of view. Why can't you rent it, say that you're going to live there, but don't? I don't know. Go ahead. I see someone with their hand raised.
Okay, this is Sabi.
Thank you, Sabi.
Just 1 minute. I'm going to change to Spanish so she can, the interpreter can interpret me. Just 1 minute. Ok, una de las cosas para las in-home childcare providers ahora es difícil de rentar una propiedad porque no muchos quieren rentar a alguien que quiere hacer un childcare en su casa. So esas son unas de las challenges que tenemos como providers. La otra cosa también es que el code, the code zones, que ahora que requieren que una proveedora que quiera abrir su child care in home sea certificada, registrada, necesita que tener un sistema de sprinklers adentro de su casa. Entonces, imagínense para rentar y que el landlord le digamos que nos tiene que poner sprinkles, pues tal vez no va a haber nadie que nos rente ahora y es un poco difícil.
That to me, what that sounds like is that's a capital improvement, sort of like capital improvement project, you know, and that in order to get that since childcare is such a desirable social service, and you know there's going to be like Oregon Community Fund, like there's going to be you know, grant and philanthropy devoted to capital improvements for childcare. But the problem would be, where do you get the borrowed money or inherited money, or you pester your mother for money? Where are you going to get that money to even start renting and going and having a track record for a year? That is the riddle, I guess. But after you have a track record for a while, I think you would be able to qualify and write a proposal to a philanthropist who could help you pay for sprinklers. But to me, it's such a conundrum, because how can you have a track record unless you have the sprinklers? So I could inquire as to whether or not it really is a crisis, like a circle that starts on one end, and I'll ask someone, but I really don't know. That's a good question. Someone had their hand raised.
Yes, it's me, Misty. I am a child care provider in Washington County.
Awesome.
And I think that her best bet is to contact the Washington County Resource and Referral, because they're going to help her. Each city has its own rules and regulations on whether or not we need to live in the home when we operate a family child care business. So like City of Tigard requires someone to live there. And then the state of Oregon has their little rules on it also. So like I have 2 locations. So I have a teacher and her name is on the license and she lives there and I'm the business owner. And then I live in the other one and run that one, but they're both mine. So it's these little hoops that you have to go through. But the Washington County Resource and Referral is working very closely with the city of Beaverton. And so I think that would be her very best bet to figure out how, if she can even get a rental, what the rules are for living there, not living there, and all of that.
Oh my gosh, Misty, you're totally right. There is this thing, I feel dumb, at the Community and Economic Development Department Planning Division, that's like a brochure I just found. And so, yeah, there's going to be some rules here, like what is a child care facility? Where can they be located? I could paste this link into here, and maybe someone can translate it, or maybe there's another link, bilingual edition of it. Child care codes. Here. Wow, okay. Do you see this one?
Sí.
I'll put it in the chat.
Yes.
Esta es Abby Velasco también, otra vez pero eso es para la ciudad de Beaverton, pero ¿qué de las personas que viven en zonas no incorporadas como Aloha? No hay suficiente información y lo único que se puede acudir es al CCR&R y a la página de Early Learning Division solamente, pero una información como la que están poniendo en la pantalla, o sea, esa es solamente para la ciudad de Beaverton.
Correct. So to Ms. Velasco, wait, was that the one who has the questions, or is that the one who just spoke? Anyway.
Sabi just spoke.
Okay.
Norma was asking questions.
Oh, okay, thanks. So Norma, are you thinking of placing this or renting somewhere inside of the city? I'll show you the line. There's a line in my presentation that's like that. If this is the kind of the basic location of where your thing is going to be in this yellow part, that's where you have to follow Beaverton codes. And like she said, if you're out in finding a rental out here outside of the yellow, then you go to the county that you're the CCR&R. If it's Washington County, then it's the Washington County CCR&R. Let's look at the Washington County CCR&R website. Or do you want to just call them? I mean, I found it more easier
Norma,
to just to call them.
A lo mejor lo que puedo hacer para ayudarte, y ahorita se me está ocurriendo, preguntar directamente a la ciudad de Beaverton, a ver si a lo mejor no una casa, pero a ver si tienen algún tipo de espacio comercial un poco más enfocado a guarderías que nos puedan facilitar. No tanto alguna casa. Si tú no piensas vivir en una casa, pues a lo mejor esto podría ser como una buena opción y lo podría yo hacer. Ir directamente con la ciudad y verificar esta información para ti.
Oh, muchas gracias. Sí, sí, Gustavo, claro que sí. Sí, porque ese es el punto ahorita como que un poquito más difícil de hacer. Entonces, viendo, te digo, pues tenemos el plan, pero y vemos la necesidad, ¿verdad? Que está también, pero ese es el punto ahorita más difícil de resolver. Entonces, sí, me va a ayudar mucho, Gustavo. Muchas gracias.
Sí, con todo gusto. Me voy a poner en contacto con la gente correspondiente de la ciudad de Beaverton, como para ver qué podemos hacer en estos casos que es complicado conseguir una casa para poner un negocio de este giro del share care y ver qué opciones hay o qué está considerando la ciudad para poder ayudar a este tipo de negocio.
Sí, sí, claro que sí. Muchas gracias, Gustavo. No sé si podías también conseguir algo de alguna gente de bienes raíces también que manejar algo así, como en tipo comercial o algo así. También si pudiera conseguirse, sí nos serviría mucho también. Muchas
Perfecto,
gracias, Gustavo.
claro.
I put in the chat the information about City of Beaverton's Land Use and Zoning Department. That website is and phone number is in the chat. 503-526-2420. And the website, beavertonoregon.gov/planning. They would be able to tell you if the specific business is compatible with the zoning on the property, if you find one. That's just for the city of Beaverton, though. Washington County, which is Washington County CCR&R, would be better for if it's in unincorporated, and that's also in the chat. And thank you so much to the Ms. D and others who spoke up.
Sí, gracias.
And Vivian, and
sí, muchas gracias por la información. Es bastante útil. Muchas gracias.
awesome. I think next week or next month, I want to talk about emergency planning businesses or prep businesses, prepping. So we'll get off of childcare next month, talk about something else. And I'd always welcome, you got my number. I'm always interested to know if there's something that I should help you with, to do your research, to help you plan.